Hey folks, thanks for tuning in. In this video, I'm going to talk about how I got out of almost $1.4 million in debt. Stay tuned.
Money of make, heights of fame and rich and kept. Meanwhile, the company and slept. Mogon, I lose my best. Money of
Alright, thanks for tuning in again. Alright, let me explain how I got in debt firstly. So, it started in 2017, really, the accumulation. So it was credit card bills, right? The first thing was that the credit card, I used it to pay my school fees. So while going to university, my credit card was actually my best friend in terms of paying off debts, but it got out of hand in regards to using it for other things, day-to-day expensive, cost of living, all of that. So that got out of hand. In addition to using it for my school fees, right, I had a sales job, so it's not every month would be the same income, so I wasn't managing that properly at all. And then to top it off, I met in a really bad accident. So this accident put me out of a car for over 6 months. So being that I had a sales job, I had to rent a car, so that's another expense. And the car, the bank still owned the car at the time, so I still had to pay my bank loan, so you can imagine how that was. So it was a very stressful time for me. So there are a few things though that I ended up doing, right, after speaking to a mentor of mine and researching how can I get myself out of this bind that I was in. So the first thing I had to do was have a plan, right? So have a written plan, and I never usually budget, but this is something that I had to do. So with the plan, the first step was actually have a budget, right? When I know what my expenses, all my expenses were, where my inflows and my outflows were, right? So that was step one. Step two now, I had to decide on a method on how to reduce this debt. So there are two methods, really popular methods, one called the debt avalanche and one called the debt snowball. So the debt avalanche is a more aggressive method that I chose, which it targets the highest interest rate debt and you work it downward. So that's what I did. I took on the highest interest rate debt, which was a credit card at the time, and I worked on that first. The next option would have been my debt snowball, but the debt snowball really works on the smallest amount owed first. So pretty much it gives you kind of a mental win for most persons to work on that small debt first, and then they stack up to the larger debt. Right, but I chose the debt avalanche. This is very popular through Dave Ramsey. He preaches a lot of that. All right, so that's the second thing that I did, pretty much. The third thing that I did now was get a side hustle. Matter of fact, it wasn't even getting a side hustle. I had some pretty much some skills that I wasn't even utilizing. So what I started to do, I started to, one, I sell some stuff that I had that I didn't need. Two, started making some websites for small businesses. Started to do some Android programming, do some social media management and social media graphics. So this helped me out a lot. And when I think about it though, most persons have some skill that they're not utilizing. It could be anything, right? So think about that, and that's something that I use to reduce the debt. Also, what I wasn't thinking about as well, in regards to the credit card, I actually refreshed the credit card. So when I say refresh the credit card, is that my mentor is explaining to me, why am I taking money out of my savings account, my regular pay, and spending it versus putting that money on the credit card, right, and kind of refreshing the debt somewhat. So that actually helped a lot. So instead of the credit card debt piling up, I'm putting monies on it, although I use it for my day-to-day expense still, but it's in a way refreshing the card. So that's something I never thought about. Another thing though is a friend of mine was telling me that the credit card debt, that a bank will buy it. So this was totally new to me. I didn't even know that existed in Jamaica. So indeed, I did some research and met up at a bank. I went to a bank, spoke to the bank, and yes, they would buy the debt from me. So the reason why the bank would buy the debt is because they want you to move your credit card business from another bank to their bank. So in addition to that, they actually gave me 3 months interest free, 3 months break to actually, build myself up a bit before I started using this new credit card. So that aid a whole lot. So just in review, those are the things that I did, and hopefully it can help you or help somebody else that you know. So 1, have a plan, have a budget. 2, just choose a method of reducing that debt. 3, utilize a side hustle, right? Just think about what you can do and what somebody else could pay you for, right? Doing that task. And also touch base with the local bank and see if they'll actually buy the debt from you. All right, so I hope this was helpful to you. If it was, give me a like, give me a comment, let me know if you like this type of information, and share it with a friend. Take care and talk soon.